James.
Oh my god, Jess.
Oh my god.
What a week.
I know. How insane has it been for me and you? It seems like I haven't spoken to you like all week, like since the podcast, but it's just been hectic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much been the most dramatic week of my life.
Oh my god, tell us more.
So, to cut a long story short, I was on the bloody radio, Jess.
You were. For the second time, yeah?
Yeah, second time.
Look
guys,
at you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Amory Beach is a thing.
It's a situation.
Anyways, tell me about your week, because I've heard it was very intense.
Yeah, so basically, to like add some context to this, for years, and apparently a lot of people do get this and it's quite common, I have like white patches all over my back, and they say it's because your body produces, it's called psoriasis something. Let me just get the term. Psoriasis versicolor? I don't know.
Versicolor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And basically, I've had it for ages, where all of a sudden on my neck, so it started on my neck, and my neck would have white patches, and I've been to doctors over the years, and they're just like, oh, it's because, you know, when you wash your hair, the dampness, like, gets onto your skin, and it creates this mark. So for years, I've been, like, lifting my hair from my neck to make sure that, you know, this white thing doesn't occur. And then I remember, so for the party, I put on my party dress, and then I was just like, what the hell is that on my back? And it was
and
like...
you looked so good in that party dress.
Oh,
ladies
thank
and gentlemen.
you. 1920s creation.
Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
You were representing, yeah.
It was so much fun. But yeah, I was just like,
so good.
I turned, like, I remember getting home after, like, I remember the last hour of that party, and I was like, we need to get the food out. And I was like, let's get the cheese platter sorted. And so I was quickly, like, assembling the cheese platter. I got the ice as well. Went home. I only had, like, 20 minutes to get dressed. But I was half an hour late. So it started at 6. And I got at home at, like, 5:40. And then I got to James's house at, like, because I had my party at James's house at, like, 6:30. So I was just, like, looking at my back when I was putting on the dress. Yeah.
Credit to you.
Oh, it was crazy, but
that was
yeah.
a hectic day.
It was full on, isn't it? From, like, the start to the end. But it was so much fun. Yeah, we got it done. That's the main thing. And there's heaps of memories. It was before lockdown, too, so we got to do a big to-do.
Yeah,
not only for myself, but for others.
Credit
Yeah.
to you. Hats off.
Aw.
Jess throws a good party.
Woo! But yeah, I was just like, I put my heels on, I was ready to go, and I was like, wow, what's that visible mark? And then I lifted up my, because who looks at their back, yeah? And then I lifted up my dress, and I was like, there's all these white patches, and it was just growing, and it was just weird. I'm like, oh my God, am I turning into Michael Jackson? Like, what's happening right now? Because it was like...
Is it Virgit?
No, not vitiligo. It's the cousin of it.
I've got that.
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
I can't say for the ladies.
Okay. Well, I did not know that.
It's on my private part.
Nice.
Yeah, they actually say it's like stresses of environmental impact that can cause it.
It's like,
which I found interesting.
For what I have, it's kind of like the cousin of that, yeah? And it's basically my body was producing too much protein, and sometimes when I was working, I remember like at uni, I used to sweat on my back.
Yeah.
But I didn't think much of it, like, because it was on my neck.
Yeah.
And I've worn like other dresses before and no one said anything. Like this year it was really visible. And so I applied like this anti-dandruff shampoo. It has like a ingredient called selenium sulfite, 1% of it. So I kept applying it. And on top of that, I started to get like, nothing was happening for days. And then all of a sudden it got really itchy, and I'm like, okay, cool. Because it's like a fungus that was growing on top of my skin. And I'm like, sweet, itchy.
Wow.
It seems to be doing something. And then one night it started to burn. And then I was just like, that's not normal. Like rule of thumb is something burns, you get it off. Yeah. And then I was just like, I went to work, and then I was just like, wow, like I'm like black all over my neck and my back. Like it was like a scabby sort of, it wasn't hurting. It was just like, what the hell is happening? So I went to work, and then everyone was like, that does not look normal. So I went to the doctors, and then they said I have dermatitis. So not only do I have this situation with my skin, I have this growing on top of it. This scabby.
It's very common.
Yeah, but I've never had it before. So right now I'm kind of like a snake shedding skin. It's like the ointment that they gave me really helps, and it's getting rid of it. It's just taking its time. But they were just like, the white marks will remain there until your new skin cells like produce more cells, basically, and better skin. So you just make sure you're eating the right food, and I don't eat vegetables, and I'm eating vegetables like no tomorrow. I'm buying that V8 green juice. I'm buying green juices. That's when you know that there's an issue. And I'm like I'm drinking water, I'm walking, I'm just doing everything that I can, but I need to make it an effort because this comes back every once in a while. So that was and then...
Sounds like you're really active.
Yeah, so that was my week. Yeah, so just like getting it together. Yeah, that's about it really. And work was hectic because, so when all of this was kicking off, the systems were down at my workplace. And I felt the full brunt of it today. But yeah, that was great. It kept me going.
You felt the full brunt. So it was an intense week. Yeah.
It was an intense week, and it was like not intentional. Monday and Tuesday were fine. It was just Wednesday, Thursday, and today I was like,
I've been emotional this week.
Oh,
so
why?
I had a little cry. I had my review. And my review just kind of triggered me.
Why?
Like, I was reading it and I just got so emotional, and like also so much pride and like proudness came over me, and I was just like, it is true. It's like, this song means so much to me. It's so deeply personal, and I'm so glad that people are connecting to it on a wavelength that I wish they would connect it with. And I'm just like so grateful and happy and appreciative.
Oh, that's good. You're smashing it, Walker, and you've actually stuck to your goals the way that you said that you wanted to do this album, you wanted to write the songs, you wanted to have a music video, you wanted to do so much. You've done it.
You literally were the person to say to me, go do it, and I freaking have.
Yeah, you've gone to town and you've done it for you. Like, more than anyone. You've done it for you, and now it's resonated with people. You have to, like, meet it, like, at that level. Do everything that you can.
And
it's
to
like...
be honest with you, I don't think it would ever have happened if it wasn't for our friendship. And I'm so grateful for that, because you were the person to tell me that, and you were the person to go, let's go film the music video clip. You know, that night.
I'm like, do it now.
You're like, let's just do it. And that night ended up really crazy with your dad, you know, having his fall and everything.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was just a moment where I was just like, before it. So this would have been like, 8? Oh, after the podcast. Yeah. And I'm just like, because the plan was to film it on Saturday, spend the entire day Saturday. Something came over me.
Go do it.
And I was like, fuck it, let's just do it. Like, so where James lives, there's a carport, parking complex. Yeah. And it was just,
car park,
we had to do it by foot too. The bloody elevator wasn't working, so we had to go walk around and around and around until we got to the top. And it was just experimenting. That night was really fun.
I kind of feel like that walking around was exactly what we kind of needed. It was like the journey of the song, really.
Yeah.
We're going around in a circle until we finally get to see the light. Like, you know, like how a car park's kind of dark.
Like, the bottom was dark, and then we just got illuminated with all the apartment complexes around. Like, everyone was home, and the lights were, like, going on and off. Like, it was interesting.
It was bloody interesting. It was, like, an experience that I'll look back on for time, like, years and years to come, to be like, it was such a metaphor, that car park, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Like, the symbolism behind it. Like, trying to fit into a box.
It didn't have to be like an elaborate like location and so many locations, so many cameras and lights. It was just instant. Let's do this. Oh yeah, we'll try this. We'll try that.
The opening, how it says "fuck the world" on the thing, and it says small car park only. You know, for that bit.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like that's a metaphor of like trying to fit into something that you don't fit into.
It just worked out. It worked out really well, and then you did what you could. You put it on the platforms to get it out there. You made it happen, you know? So it's great. Even this podcast has reached 1,000.
Like the biggest thing about it is obviously we're a big believer in this. I do think things happen for a reason. I do think people are surrounded by you. I do think the world is conspiring for you. I think you've got to be in a pretty negative mind space to think that the world isn't unfolding for you. I know that, like, life can get tough and things can happen. And, negative things and, like, things that, really get to your core. But I do think that you've got to always, in the darkness, there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And as much as you can feel like you're surrounded all by darkness, you've got to understand that there's always that duality of life. There's always the lightness if you're willing to see it.
I agree. And it was just, like, even this podcast, I never would have believed. We just reached today 1,000 downloads. And I was like, I remember
1,000 downloads, people downloading it.
I was like, day one, I'm like, I wonder if anyone would give a damn. Like, will there be even one download? And, like, our first episode has now, like, broken the record for all the episodes. Rightly so, being number one. But it was
Absolutely.
Just being constant. You have to be willing to put in the effort, willing to show up, put in the effort and see the results.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I feel that is to our core who we are as people. The ability to show up is so important. And also the ability to not show up, but to know that when you need to show up.
Yeah, it's the gut instinct. And people can give you opinions and all of that, but at the end of the day, when you're in silence, it's kind of like a Buddhist sort of mentality. When you're in silence, like, the answers just come. And if you resist out of fear, well, you're going to create a lot of crap for yourself.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree. We're on the same wavelength.
Well done, James.
Would you like to introduce what your topic for this episode is, even though we've been talking quite a long time ago?
No, I'm keen because it's something that popped up on... So I'm one of these people that spend hours on TikTok, and unintentionally, because it's just lucky. Amazing how the marketing that they've done for this, because everyone's just got like we're in a quick society. And you go on there and watch one video and you're just like, yeah, I can watch another. They're really quick. And then hours go by. It's amazing. Really. But I saw this one.
Yeah.
And have you heard of the Dropa Stones?
No, I actually haven't.
Wow.
Educate me, please.
I will. So basically, they're discs that have been found. They've been kicking around for the past 12,000 years, right? But they were discovered, some people are saying in 1938 is when they were discovered, and there's two theories. One theory was it was discovered on a mountain in China by Professor Chi, I think his name is, from what I read. And the second theory was found in the Himalayas, that typical, I don't know, probably was. But they went on an expedition, Professor Chi and his comrades, so to speak, and
what's so special about these discs?
Basically, they went into this cave and they were just having a little look around, and they found a lot of unusual things, and they were just like, they were little, apparently, as the theory goes, as the mystery unfolds, they were little beings, so to speak, and they didn't identify as to what these bones were, right? And then underneath dust, there were these Dropa stones. And the word Dropa comes from, so basically these particular stones, there's about 6 or more than that. When they were discovered, they're like, from what I read, they're jade, jade like stone. And they've got hieroglyphics on them. And Dropa comes from, so as you know, the professors and whatnot, they brought the stones down. And then eventually it got to Moscow. They sent it to Moscow. And they performed all these, investigations, so to speak. And it tells how aliens probably dropped down and how they came onto this earth. And the life forms were called the Dropas. So they named it the Dropa Stones. And as they were, I'll get back to, this has just popped into my mind as well. And I found this quite cool, that they put these Dropa stones on a turntable, right? And they all started to vibrate in, all together. and it sounded from people what they're saying is that it sounded like electricity was going through the stones. So it was like it's like a record sort of a looking thing where it's got a circle in the middle like a hole, and it sounded like with the sound like it was a zzz sort of a sound. And I thought that was quite interesting. And then I was like, oh, tell me more. So it was discovered, about 12,000 years ago. Basically, it told the story of the Dropa aliens who crashed their spacecraft in the region of China 12,000 years ago and tried to make a go of it on Earth until the locals hunted them down and killed them. Tragically, the hero professor had to resign in disgrace with no one believed him, basically. And the stones were shuttled about, eventually reaching Russia. So there you go. And disappeared forever. And the story goes as well that anyone that tried to question it at that time, the Chinese government was like, no one's talking about that. So there you go. And the author got the story. So basically it came out, as everything does in the wash. And they were always like, the Dropa stones don't exist. They don't exist. And eventually it was published in the Times. And the author got the story published again in 1964. But this time, at least, it appeared in a UFO magazine, more relevant.
Yeah.
So both stories are basically, it's just the hieroglyphics. I've had a look at them. They're actually quite interesting. And there's so many theories and of course, there's so many theories and readings. It's kind of like interpreting the Bible sort of a thing where it was like a different time, a different language. There's so many interpretations. Even in a word in English, there's so many possible explanations for one word, right? You may take it one way and I may take it another for one word. So it's just going on and on and on. And I thought that was actually quite interesting how they explained when these people wrote diaries on the expedition of how there were unknown bones and these weird stuff that was in this cave, and then they uncovered underneath dust these stones. But they left that behind, this the theory goes, they left that behind, and from what I can find, I can't see that. I think they're on display somewhere. They eventually made it out. I think maybe Beijing, no. They say, some people are saying the basement of Beijing University. They're saying a lot of things, but they just basically went missing. It's kind of like, there's also a theory whenever, I don't know, an alien crashes down and there's just a body on the floor, all of a sudden the FBI comes and, then they question everyone that was kind of Men in Black. I just found that quite, it was quite interesting. And I was like, ooh, tell me more. But yeah, there were different colors, chipped, but I'm looking at one now and it's kind of just no hole in the middle. There's a sun in the middle. And then around it, it's kind of like a swirl effect. And inside a swirl, I'll show this on, Facebook and Instagram, and it's on, all of that. And it shows how there's an alien craft, spaceship, and then hieroglyphics, and then an image of an alien, and it says how they populated the Earth, sort of a thing. And there's so many, I think more than 6, and different sizes too, small, medium, large. But yeah, they keep coming up every couple of decades, and it kicked off again, and and basically traveled from where he granted an order. Yeah, this particular, another doctor went to investigate these stones. So there must be some in the Himalayas and some in China, must be, because there's quite a bit, actually, more than what I thought they were, different sizes. And apparently the 14th Dalai Lama wanted to learn all about it. And then it went under the radar again. It was just hidden after that. It keeps popping up in society. So I thought that was interesting, and I just wanted to share. But please read about it if you're interested. I love all this stuff and the theories and the possible explanations for things.
Yeah, I bloody love it.
I love it too.
Wow.
There's grooves on some of them as well, like a Fred Flintstone photography album or something is what they're saying as well. But yeah, these stones have been around for 12,000 years, and that would be actually quite interesting to actually visually see. Maybe one day I'll be walking past and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a Dropa stone in some museum or something. But yeah, it's an unexplained artifact
Totally.
mystery, you know? What do you think, James? Did I entertain you?
Yeah, that was really interesting.
Yeah. It's like hieroglyphics, you know?
What I was going to talk about tonight was completely different.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to tell you, because I knew you would come up with something and I would.
I'm going to continue down a different route to where I was going to go down tonight.
Go for it.
So you're talking about obviously the stone. So
Yeah.
it got me thinking about a stone that's had significance in my life.
Oh.
And maybe anyone who's spiritual and wants to find a stone that might be significant for their life could find one. So basically, last year, around the time we had our conversation about me following my music, I actually went online. Well, actually, I listened to a girl called Sarah Vibra.
Oh, yes. The spiritual...
She's basically an spiritual astrologist who does a lot of work on YouTube. So if anyone's interested in astrology, go check her out. She's very in-depth, and I know a lot of people who follow her. Anyway, she basically came through me through my roommate in Vancouver when I was over there, who was very much into that spiritual astrology kind of thing. So she came basically by him. And I often believe that when you're, you know, a lot of the conversations that we have in life, you have them for a reason. People come into your life to give you, you know, information that you need.
In the moment, and you take it or leave it. Yeah, you get the hint or you don't.
You get the download,
I
guess you could say. So I basically got attracted to then a stone called Aquamarine.
Ah, yes, the good old... Yes,
and I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but I'm going to go more in depth right here, right now.
Yes.
Because obviously we were talking about stones and the significance and the storytelling behind it. So I'm going to go into the story behind this and its significance to me. So Aquamarine is a stone that I purchased online from a lady in Queensland. Out of all the stones that I looked on online via all different shops and whatnot, I settled on this lady from Sunshine Coast in Queensland, which is a northern state. It's a sunny, it's called the Sunshine Coast.
Yeah.
So it's sunny, it's nice. Bit of rain, you know, obviously it has a wet and dry season, but most of the time of the year it's pretty nice. So it's a pale kind of blue colour, to describe it to you. It's wrapped in a silver wire, and it goes up, and it's just then into like a fabric kind of thing. I've been wearing it for coming up a year at the end of this year. September I got it, last year.
I see.
So that's about the time that you told me to pursue my music. Actually interesting, I brought it for other reasons, but the stone is meant to help with your throat chakra, so your truth, being able to speak your truth and to know what to say to people. And I think the biggest thing that I feel is that when I wear it, I feel I've got more self-awareness of what you say and its influence on people. It's so easy for people when they're not conscious of their thoughts and their throat chakra to speak ill of someone, not knowing that speaking ill of someone is speaking ill of yourself. So why do it?
I like it. It's accurate.
And I think it's made me more conscious of that, is that you don't know what's best for someone else. You know what's best for you, and you should only speak your truth and know that your truth isn't everyone else's truth.
Yeah.
They're all on their own journey.
They are.
But you can encourage them in your optimism and in speaking your truth to be like, you can speak your truth. Your truth doesn't need to sit along the same lines as me to please me or to make me feel good. Your truth is your truth. If you disagree with something, you can disagree with something. But if it's making you angry, why is it making you angry?
Yeah, what's going on here? That means it's not the thing that you're projecting on, it's you.
Yeah, and I think like one of the biggest things that I would really like to say on this podcast is it's really done incredible things to me wearing this little rock here.
Unbelievable.
Pale blue rock, is that I really feel like in terms of my music, it's helped me be able to find a voice. It's helped me to be able to find something that opens up something deep within inside you, that you want to speak things out in a way that isn't detrimental. Like, when I talk about Catholic guilt, what I'm really talking about is the institution and also the prison you create in your own mind of what's right and wrong. And when I want to speak about it, it isn't to say that the whole Catholic Church and everything it does is the worst thing in the world. There is some good that comes from it.
Yeah.
Faith is a beautiful thing. But what I'm trying to say and what I feel the stone has brought me is that you all have your own truth and what you need to project out into the world. And I think it's so important for people to live something that's authentic and truthful to them and find their own voice. Because I feel a lot of people have other people in their life who don't want to hear their truth, don't want to hear your truth, because your truth about things alters their truth about things.
And they get frightened. It's fear as well.
Yes.
That becomes
and I
arrogance.
Feel it's so important for people to realize that it's okay for people to be frightened, but you've got to speak your own truth. And yes, people may cry and people may like turn away from you, but that is part of the journey.
Yes. 100%. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's what you put out there, and your interpretation will never be done again, you individual.
Exactly. You are an individual, and to be honest with you, the honesty is the best policy.
Yes.
If you're not being authentic and honest with people and telling them what you think about things, yes, they may get upset. Yes, they may get hurt by your interpretation of things. But honestly, at the end of the day, that's what's meant to go down.
Yeah, and maybe you'll learn something by you opening your mouth.
Speak your truth. And if you don't speak your truth, you'll catch up with them and you'll say, I'm really, really sorry. I did not speak my truth to you.
Yeah, and that's why I was avoiding you or anything of the sort, yeah. At least if you're wrong, at least if you speak your truth and you're wrong as well, that's okay. At least you're able to, with an open mind, realize that you're wrong, and then you move forward, you grow.
100%. And I think I know it's really weird that this crystal has always, I've lost it a few times, and I think I've needed to lose it, because I think sometimes in terms of like a rock, it's actually more a rock than a crystal, but it is a crystal as well. But anyway, Aquamarine was basically what they said at the time was to protect seamen at the sea from drowning. And I think, yes, that is true. It's got water qualities to it. But I think at the same time, I think when you're really speaking your truth, it's your affinity with water. The affinity to let someone go when they need to be let go, and to hold on to someone when they need to be held on to.
Follow your intuition.
Yeah. That's what I put it down to.
Well done, James.
And speaking truth. Yeah.
Well done.
Your truth. And knowing it's your truth and that it's not someone else's. So it's to speak your truth is to speak your truth. And you don't need someone else to then validate your truth, because you know it's truth. But when someone does validate your truth, like what I've experienced with my music, is like I honestly feel that was the most authentic song that I've ever put out.
Yeah.
And I really felt that people connected with it because it was authentic.
Yeah, it was. And it's so you. It's so you.
Yeah.
Like driving on a Sunday night sort of a song.
Yeah.
It's so true.
100%.
You just do what you can, and then, that's just the start too. It's a massive accomplishment, but this is just the beginning. That's the magical part of it. It's so good.
100%. And I cannot, that's the biggest thing as well. Is just like everyone who's listening now is like, I know it's a very, you know, for the non-spiritual, like there's people out there who are non-spiritual. I'm not here to preach to you and say that, like, get Aquamarine, because that's not your path. It's my path.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own experience. What I'm trying to say to you is the biggest thing is to get in tune with oneself, because when you get in tune with oneself, you start to discover things and learn things, and everything kind of has a natural flow to it.
It's true.
And I think when you feel things aren't flowing, things are out of alignment.
It's a stagnant sort of a feeling as well.
You got to pick up on that.
Yeah. If it keeps coming back to you, then you know it's meant to be in your life for a reason, and you'll eventually figure it out. It's a
100%.
process.
If it keeps on resurfacing, it is something that you haven't learned.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, thank you,
We
James.
have talked for quite a while now.
We're loved it.
35 minutes. Is this our longest podcast?
No, this is saying, so you called me like a couple of minutes before, yeah? We're at 31.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Got all the time in the
We're
world.
only just a little bit over. Thank you so much. I feel we had a very good talk.
I'm going to name this, you know what? So Stoned. I'm so stoned. Because all we did was talk about it.
We talked about a lot about stones and the mysteries behind them.
I like it. No, thank you, James.
And I think that's so important for everyone right now, is that, like, yes, obviously there's a mystery behind your story, and there's a mystery behind mine, because I'm assigning meaning to the stone. Maybe the meaning is within me, and I'm just attaching it to the stone, but maybe it's not.
Yeah.
And that's the mystery of it.
Exactly. Well done, James. Bravo.
Well done, Jess. Bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being the launch pad for me to do my little waffle.
I can only do what I can, and I loved it. Of course.
Awesome.
But yes,
Me
comment,
too.
like,
really
subscribe. I know, this was actually quite cool.
To go more in depth on alien species and my opinions on them, because I also have, like, a lot of theories around that.
It's great.
And I actually think that we're very close to us being able to talk about this, and for this to be
A thing.
a topic where everything, the news confirms it.
Yeah, 100%.
And everyone's talking about it.
There's so many stories, and I'm just like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Every single time I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
I like all those things on, like, TikTok as well, like all the UFO, like, the stories. I'm like, ooh. I love it.
Me too.
Nah, good. All right, James.
Okay, well, thank you so much for our listeners. We're so proud that we've gotten over 1,000 downloads and even more listens on each of our streaming networks.
Yes.
And we would love for you to write into us and let us know what you would like us to talk about next.
Yes.
But if not, we're ready to go. I've actually got a lot of ideas.
Yeah, good. I love a decent amount of ideas from you, James. So perfect. But yes,
Me
good
too.
night.
And I love the randomness of it. And thank you so much for tuning into our random episode, which I kind of think really fits into what the podcast is about the creativity and the random sparks that happen.
I love it. It's so us. And blue. Yeah. I love blue. So that worked out perfectly. Oh. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.